Hello. I'm gonna be trying to talk softly while playing some Minecraft. I just generated this world. We have a pig and some horses and flowers and hills. It's just vanilla Java Minecraft. But it's more of a background for what I'm going to be talking about because it's on peaceful, so there shouldn't be too much challenge from the gameplay, at least. And I don't think, I don't know, I feel like having a visual is better than just like a black screen. Like, I've thought of maybe having just like some artwork or I don't know, a little animation looping, but I'm not currently that skilled in the required skills for those things. But anyway, we're playing Minecraft instead, because that is something I do know how to do. And knowing how to do things is important if you want to do them while talking about the things I hope to talk about. I mean, I'm probably not gonna, I don't know if I'll get too deep into anything, and just it's mainly for the sound of my voice, if that makes sense. I've been thinking of doing this for a while, and I hope you enjoy it if you're listening out there. This is obviously my first video, so it's not going to be perfect the first time, but hopefully it won't be terrible. Yeah. So, I'm just mining some stone now, and going down, because it's good to have stone in a game about meter cube blocks of various materials. And I would say stone is definitely up there for my favorites. It's probably, well, I'm quite a fan of metals in general. Metals are pretty cool. Obviously trees are beautiful. But that depends on, that's a lot more than a singular block. So if you just have a singular block of a tree, it's not really going to have the same impact. I suppose water counts as a block, doesn't it? So, and water's fairly interesting, especially like the way it moves in real life, at least. The way it moves in Minecraft is fairly basic, but it's still more interesting than your average block. Terracotta is quite nice, because it's similar to concrete, but it's got that slight roughness that concrete doesn't have, which does make this house definitely looks, I feel like it would look a lot worse if that was concrete, although it's certainly an attempt. I mean, it works. It's a villager house. I don't really have much bad to say about that. Not that anything bad should necessarily be said about anything, really. Unless, I suppose, if it's important, then maybe you should probably mention it. But, hopefully you can't hear my, fellow housemates moving around the house. Since it's fairly early in the morning and I've been awake all night so far, so I just thought I would have a go at this, since this is probably when my voice is going to be the softest, after a sort of night of being able to sleep, but hopefully I can help you sleep with my presence and just being here and talking, which I quite enjoy talking like this. I suppose I don't have perfect consistency at the moment, but like I said, this is my first video, so it's not going to be perfect. I don't know if you heard my throat then, that was fairly loud. I just did like a little swallow. Oh, that's interesting. That's kind of artistic, the way that it sort of layers itself. From just like random generation. That's cool. But yeah, I don't think I obviously haven't got it 100% down because I'm talking about making the video a lot, which, you know, it's on my mind, I suppose. And then I suppose whatever's on your mind is going to be what's easiest to talk about. I definitely like exploring, I think. Like, wow, you got a temperate pig next to a warmer climate pig. That's cool. See, with exploring you find things like these. I love this cow with the horns. I mean, interesting that it has a combination of horns and udders, but honestly, it's pretty cool. I suppose it would be an intersex cow. I don't know. I'm not a cow scientist. There's probably a fancy way to say that in Greek, like bovinologist, maybe, but then that feels like a bit of a mouthful, so I'm not sure if that's quite right. Oh, I have an X. I wonder if bovinology is a specialized field that people can go into, or whether that would just be sort of generalized zoology. I mean, I suppose maybe you could specialize in like sort of farm animals, maybe, since although I feel like you would just do that by running or joining a farm, and then you'd learn that way. Ow, I forgot there was a tripwire. It's okay. I probably shouldn't be doing this while trying to be calm. It's a little bit trepidatious, but 3 arrows, which I probably will never use. I can still put them in my in like an item frame maybe, and use them to point ways maybe I can make a sign pointing to where it came from. That's sort of a environmental storytelling that you would not be able to tell without watching this video, so I guess it isn't environmental storytelling, it's just storytelling, unless there's like a book underneath the sign saying this sign, or this arrow almost, this sign is made out of an arrow that almost hit me when I was making the first video. I suppose I could add that. Anyway, we're in a jungle now. We were in like a meadowy hills area with some plains, and now we're in a jungle. And I always think jungles have this sort of mystique to them. Like, you know, there could be, I suppose forests have it too, where it's like this dense wilderness where anything could be living there. Like, you know, a society of snake people who worship a moth god, or I don't know, something more complex than that. I suppose with normal trees, I say normal, normal for a Western European like myself. I would say that would probably lead to, you know, more Western European fictional creatures, although I don't know if snake men really appear in any cultures that have jungles. I wouldn't be surprised, although it is like it could just be, I don't know how modern that would be, because, you know, a lot of things, sort of perceptions and fictions exist from external cultures interpreting the area. So, like, I always think of the Blemiers from medieval Europe, which are these, I suppose, bodies with faces on them, and they have arms and legs, but they don't have a head, and the body is the face, which is quite an interesting image. You could imagine them being quite friendly when they've got all that face to smile at you with, although, you know, just like a friendly greeting to an outsider, and you might be a little confused. Although I imagine there was also an element that I don't know if it would have been started by a rumor, or maybe started by some sort of historical basis from, like, ancient Greeks. You may notice that my S's sometimes sound a little unusual, and I'm not sure why that is. I don't know if that would have been picked up, but hopefully none of you have a phobia of mastication, which is a funny word for a immature person. Not that there's anything wrong with being immature. I mean, I suppose being immature is just a different way of looking at life, really. And And if you take life less seriously, you tend to, well, you'd end up in different positions to taking it more seriously, I suppose. I'm not sure if either is better, because taking it seriously, you have, the potentials and, the progress, progress based on whatever progression you're taking seriously. Because you could just take, like, being a monk seriously, and then to someone who's more materially oriented, they might see that as a lack of progress. So I suppose progress is also very subjective, and you could see taking everything as, being slightly immature as a form of progress because of how subjective it is. See, this is what I mean. It is kind of a deep thought, but it's also just not really about anything. Like, speculating about the subjectivity of progress, which I'm sure anyone watching this will find boring enough to fall asleep, or interesting enough to keep watching, I suppose. And falling asleep is a funny thing because, you can try to fall asleep, but then it makes it more difficult, I feel. And so, well, I suppose if you get distracted by your thoughts as well, then that also makes it difficult. But then, that's why I'm making this, because I feel like if you just focus on someone else's presence, and if they're just rambling about nothing, then it's gonna be maybe a little easier. Although I have just brought up the concept of falling asleep, so now people may be thinking, oh no, I can't fall asleep because I'm thinking about falling asleep. But you can fall asleep, because falling asleep is something that happens all the time to so many people, because it's necessary for, I suppose it's necessary to live and live well. I mean, yeah, it's important. It's definitely important. I mean, if I didn't think it was important, I wouldn't be thinking. Creating this right now. Hopefully this is soft-spoken enough. I know I keep going a little fast, but hopefully that is an okay speed. And if I speed up and slow down, that might be sort of interesting enough to keep people's attention. At the moment, I've mostly just been getting, I travelled through a jungle and then a savannah, and now in a cave, and there's some deep slate there. But it's safe deep slate because I'm in peaceful mode. And I have got some iron and coal, so that's always useful. Although I'm not really sure what I'm going to use the iron for, since I suppose tools, but and like a bucket and shears and this standard tool set, maybe some I suppose iron boots, but they don't seem comfortable. Like, I'd rather have some softer boots to wear, but I suppose, yeah, it's not like I can make wool armor or anything. I can make leather, but I'm not sure about killing animals, really. Because, well, yeah. There's some gold here. I really like the newer gold texture. I did pick up some gold from a ruined portal, which had also some golden armor inside of it. And I also seem to have ended up with some leaf litter. And that golden armor, I'll put it on. Maybe I could do a gold outfit. That's nice. Cover me in gold. Like, that James Bond movie where the woman is gold. I don't know. I feel like that's the only scene I've seen from that movie because I started watching it as a child and then she's like naked, so I suppose my parents came in and turned it off because they didn't realise I was watching it, because definitely older James Bonds are very interesting in their depiction of women. I will say interesting. But anyway, hopefully my chair wasn't too loud there. It's starting to move a bit. I also just cracked my pelvis with, like releasing the nitrogen from the joint. I'm not sure if that has like an official name other than cracking, which definitely sounds like something else. I just moved my pop filter as well, so hopefully that's not being too loud, and hopefully you can still hear me. I feel like I've gone very quiet, but hopefully that wasn't too loud. I will take some water. Anyway. Was it Goldeneye or Goldfinger? Or is Goldeneye only the movie? I'm not sure. I don't know much about James Bond media. It's definitely quite popular. There was that game recently and everyone's saying that the lead character looks like Henry from Kingdom Come Deliverance. I had to go through that one slowly because it's quite a long name with a lot of syllables that need to be pronounced correctly, as syllables tend to be. I'm a big fan of the enchanting system. I would like if it was in this game. I mean, not in the new James Bond. That would be quite interesting if they did like a magic theme on top of James Bond, like a spy who is magical slightly. I suppose he would. I think it would be better if they kept the modern setting and then they had like Q enchanting things with different enchantments, but I don't know I wasn't initially picturing them being Minecraft enchantments, but I suppose that would make sense considering I'm playing Minecraft right now. But, you know, Skyrim has some cool enchantments. I can't really think of any other games that have enchantments. I suppose the other Elder Scrolls games, I don't know if Morrowind does. Or is Morrowind the one with the boots that make you jump really high? I think it might be. Anyway, I was talking about how I like the enchantment system in Minecraft. Because it's quite simple. They did add lapis to be used as like a currency for enchantments along with the levels, which are obviously... It's like, I suppose the experience and levels represent the experience of the creature and then also the experience gained from doing certain tasks, which implies that mining out a cubic kilometer of stone gives no life experience by the philosophy of Minecraft, which honestly, I'm not sure what you would learn from that. I feel like you might be able to learn something though. Like, surely at some point you'd be like, yeah, maybe this isn't the best idea, or maybe you'd realize that this is a metaphor for something. I don't know. I'm sure you could learn something from that. But maybe that's just not where they're going with the... They're not that high concept, really, are they? They're like, these creatures gain life experience and you're taking that when they are slain by you within the video game. And does that mean that ores are creatures? And then your character, so that would mean that the ores that you smelt only die when, or are only slain when you smelt them rather than when you mine them initially. But then the ones like lapis and coal and redstone all are slain upon mining them. Or maybe it's like, I'm not sure if there could be any other way to interpret it. Going based on it being experience, I suppose it's just like a more valuable learning experience. I mean, obviously it's a gameplay system, so you can just look at it like that, but I like looking at it in the context of the world, I suppose. I like looking at components of movies and video games within the context of the world, because I think it's a fun little thought experiment. I'm having to do some jumps here, so hopefully my keyboard isn't too loud on my mouse. Oh, I just realized my FOV. Oh no, it's 90. It's okay. I really like the copper tarnishing mechanic. And they could add it with iron and do like a whole set of like iron. I mean, they already have iron things, but like maybe like iron decorative blocks or something. Although iron is used a lot in tools, so maybe people would avoid that. But I guess, I don't know, if you're rich enough or you have an iron farm or something. it could be possible. There's also the fact that, like, that weathering is kind of what makes copper unique. So maybe giving it to iron would be like taking away the uniqueness of the material. And you couldn't do it with... Could you do it with... I suppose you could do it with... I was gonna say logs, but they already have the stripping, so I suppose that's it in a way with like two states, but it's initiated by the player directly. You can't do it with copper. I mean gold. I mean, you can have tarnished gold, but that's not really... I wonder why they don't have any silver. Because silver is like... It's my preferred colour for jewellery, I suppose. Or platinum, but they are not very different. And I know that gold is used in a lot of like health potion stuff, like with the glistering melon. Well, that's it really, isn't it? And that's instant health, I think. And then the gas tier is regen, so... And then obviously the golden apples. I say obviously, to anyone inexperienced with Minecraft, they would not know what a golden apple is. And even though the game has been out for a long time, you can't expect everyone to know everything about a video game, I suppose. It is a hobby that a lot of people are into. But even a lot of people who are into it still don't... They're not super involved, I suppose, with the communities and the awareness of all of the in-game knowledge and stuff. I sometimes wonder about, like, the proportion of my knowledge in comparison to the average person. Because there are a lot of, I suppose, less educated people globally. But I mean, I suppose even in my country there are going to be less educated people, but it's not really like there's an inherent value in that other than just knowing the things. Like, wisdom is good, but that's more something you gain from experience, I suppose, and it can be taught, but it's difficult, I think, to teach wisdom. I don't know, wisdom would be it's all, well, it's not really very specific, is it, wisdom? The concept of wisdom. Like, you would think from me falling just then, I would gain the wisdom of looking at the floor more, but I don't know. I don't think I'm going to do that because those mountains are pretty. And maybe appreciating the mountains is more beneficial than avoiding another fall. But yeah, wisdom is difficult to evaluate, as with intelligence, which is why exams, which if you're going through any sort of examination process, I am sorry that I just brought that up. But hopefully you will do well. I wish you the best, and I'm sure you can deal with that later, because now is time for sleep with goats and me. Hello. Hopefully my voice isn't too annoying. I've been told it's nice, but I'm not sure I share the same opinion, although I don't think anyone really likes their own voice. So I suppose I'm not unique in that aspect. The snow here is quite nice. I don't know why it's so quiet though. I don't know, maybe I'm hearing it differently to you. There's like the footsteps in the snow in this game. But I can't quite hear them. Did I have player sound off? Nope. Interesting. Maybe I'm hearing what you're hearing, and that's why, because I turned it down on OBS. I turned the desktop audio down, which is probably a good thing, because I think I don't want it to be louder than my voice. Oh, that's a nice waterfall. Does it go into anything? Not really. These mountains are really nice though. Especially with the moon. That's quite picturesque, or as picturesque as a pixelated game can be, which I feel like Minecraft can be quite picturesque. That's a difficult word. Especially with shaders. But I feel like that might be, I don't know. Sometimes I think game modifications, like, they are very impressive and they're an amazing hobby and I really enjoy them. But also playing the vanilla game, it feels more official. I suppose. Like, yeah, I don't know, it's like the true version of the game, I suppose. It's what the creators have presented to us. And obviously people editing that's adding their perspective to the game. And it can be great improvement. There is some noise outside. Hopefully that's not being picked up. But yeah, mods can definitely improve games a lot. And I've certainly enjoyed hours and hours of Minecraft mods. Even just modding, it takes a long time. But there's definitely something about playing the official build, I suppose. Because it's like, it's a similar feeling with the playing snapshots. Like, it's still the game, and it's still sort of an official presentation of the game. But it doesn't feel as official. Yeah, I don't know. that's a very subjective thing. Obviously, you can see any form of the game as the proper way to play it. Sorry, I'm just messing with my render distance a little, and that's made a world hole, so okay, that's good. I really like these cornflowers. Because I think light blue is like my favorite color. It's interesting because I think it was the 1950s when JFK's, oh, this does just give blue though, but they are quite light blue. I don't know. It's definitely a nice blue. I also like those swamp, those blue swamp flowers that you can find in the normal swamp in this game. But yeah, in like the 1950s, I want to say JFK's wife wore a pink dress, and up until then it was it might have been earlier, it might have been yeah, it might have been earlier, but I don't know. An American president's wife wore a pink dress, and then pink stopped being the masculine colour and became the feminine colour. Because before then, blue, light blue was the feminine colour, and pink was like a more emotional red. Was seen as more emotional red. And obviously you have like ruffles and lace from the 1700s, so it's strange how perceptions of femininity and masculinity can change. They're very transient, I suppose. At least with fashion. I feel like it's fairly consistent in terms of physicality, although I know the Greeks, like the ancient Greeks, perceived like a negativity towards being sort of brutish, which is, I suppose, how they would see modern, I say brutish in quotation marks. I don't really think any physicality represents anyone's personality. I suppose you can draw indications on it from their personality. Like if, I don't know, if someone wears a band t-shirt, I might assume they enjoy listening to that band's music, but they also might just like the look of the logo, I suppose, or want to feel included in a fandom like that. I don't know. I don't want to claim to know the goings on for people's motivations to look various ways, because I'm generally motivated by comfort, I think. I suppose both mental and physical comfort. But mostly physical. I'm not sure. My sister always says I have a clear fashion sense, but I don't think I do. I think I'm just sort of like a sleepy half-assed goth, I suppose. There's not really much more to it than that. I mean, it can be a bit dramatic at times with my appearance, but I don't know. That's just fun to do, I think. Customizing my avatar. I don't have any tattoos though. I think it's more, it's less about the pain or the, like I would happily get a tattoo, but I think sitting near someone for that long might be difficult for me. But I could probably handle it, I think. Especially if I'm excited about a new tattoo. It's definitely an important decision. And important decisions are always a little bit difficult. Oh, there's some dripstone. And some diorite. And andesite. I quite like andesite. The granite is quite... I usually like granite in real life. It looks quite interesting, but in this game it just... I don't know. The orange... It's a little bit too strong for me. I have used it in builds before. Like one time I made a house out of granite and acacia, and that was definitely an interesting house. I think I mainly used the granite for the floor with like polished granite, but it was checkered with something else. I can't remember what though. Oh, that's... I almost fell into lava, that's okay. Yeah, I'm not sure. That was a long time ago. That was back when savannas were quite new. And granite was new, actually. That's probably why I was using it. Novelty. Because novelty can certainly make you like things more sometimes. And I think that's maybe an issue with materialism in general, but then obviously that's a big claim to know what I'm talking about on that. That is the conclusion I'm drawing from my knowledge, which is limited being a human. Yeah. I don't know how different my voice is gonna sound, because I feel like I'm changing it slightly as I'm going. Like I'm shifting towards different voices, maybe. I'm not sure. Like I've got a duvet cover draped over me so that the sound is softer. I think it should help. Hopefully anyway. And hopefully not be too noisy as well. With like the movement of the fabric, but I don't think so. And I remember when I was a kid I wanted to do YouTube, and I tried, but I did not stay consistent. I tried a few times actually. Like I had a channel when I was maybe 12, and then a channel when I was, I don't know, 14, 15. But they never really had a cohesive identity. I suppose the teenage one was more gaming focused, with like my friends as an important aspect, which I don't know. It didn't really work very well. And then the initial one was just sort of, I don't know, I was very young, so I didn't really get what I was trying to do. But I still tried. Sometimes just showing up is worth it. Because I have those memories now of those things, and even if they didn't work out, they're still something I've done. I suppose you could say they've added to my wisdom. Not that it's a very big addition, but it's a component to the wider tapestry. Tapestry is quite a nice word. Nobody makes... Well, I suppose they do make them. I have like a tapestry on my wall of an angel. But it's an unusual angel because there's like a big glowing eye above a head made out of fire, and the head isn't really a head. It's just flames on a human body draped in a robe with wings with feathers, and then there's like, I suppose, fire raining down around it. I don't know. I enjoyed the image. I don't think it's too terrifying. It's just quite artful, but it is just like printed on some polyester, I think. So the materials aren't that impressive. And it's obviously mass produced to a level. But someone designed it. So, yeah. I suppose that's the level we're at with tapestries. Because it used to be like, you'd weave it over an incredibly long period of time. Not you specifically, but I don't know. The weaver. That's where that surname comes from. Although I don't know if you would call a tapestry maker a weaver, because I suppose it is weaving threads. Wow, that's a pretty village going up the hill or mountain. I don't know if I'm going too quiet sometimes because I have noise suppression, so hopefully it's picking up. Yeah, seems to be. Okay, that's good. Yeah, that's very pretty. Especially with those trees. I like across from it. And that's definitely my favourite type of forest, the snowy taiga. Either that or just the normal taiga, or the old growth taiga with the podzol. Podzol's interesting. Podzol always makes me think of like dinosaurs for some reason. Because it's like mossy growth on the floor, and I think because dinosaurs didn't have any grass, because grass is not as old, so it would have had just like plants and then either blank earth, or I suppose they could have had mossy growths, because I think that's what podzol is. It's like mossy and fungal, maybe. I don't know. I'm not a podzologist. Podzologist, sure. mouthful. Oh my goodness. These bunny rabbits are amazing. Holy shit, that's so cute. Hello. With the big tail as well. That's adorable. These leaves are quite nice as well. I like how it's a very simple thing, but they've also used the biome colour on the leaves. Which, I don't know, you would expect it, but definitely makes it feel cohesive with the whole biome colour system. Or the grass changes and stuff. Although it's interesting because I always think, I think like, I say always, you know, whenever I think of biomes in Minecraft. I think about the Terraria system where you can sort of make biomes. But then Minecraft doesn't have that because I suppose it might be too complex. And then you'd have to have like seeds for different biome grasses and have like an auto generation of trees on an auto generation of trees on like existing blocks rather than just from the world generation. The ice lakes are quite nice though. And I suppose ice lakes auto regenerate their ice, don't they? So, and then obviously there's saplings. I'm saying obviously a lot. Maybe not all of this is too obvious to everyone. It's definitely one of those words I tend to fall into saying repeatedly when I'm ranting about random things. And I'm glad they did add fireflies, even if it is as like a particle emission from a grassy block. They're still nice to see. And the fact that they're not just in swamps, but they're sort of anywhere on the coast. So you get to see them frequently. Don't have to seek them out. Although I imagine they do look best in like a mangrove swamp. There's a lot of hanging vines. That also has a mystique. I suppose dense flora of any kind. Unless it's like flowers, because there's not much verticality to flowers. Wow. I just think this guy's got cool hair. With the slick back cold chicken. So yeah. Dense flora leading to a sort of mystique that makes you think of fictional magical creatures. Just a little yawn from me there. It's definitely late relative to me, but early for everyone else. I'm not really sure how long I've been recording. Oh wow, cold cows also have horns. But they're like pointing forwards and they're furry. So they're like Aberdeen Angus cows, which are always adorable if you ever go through Scotland. You can like see them along the sides of roads and stuff. They are very cute, especially the younger ones. But all of them really, with their big flat noses and you can't really see their eyes generally as well. Or maybe that's just in artistic depictions that I'm thinking of, I don't know. I may have conflated that from art. It's funny how images of certain things can be distorted by other people's interpretations, which I suppose is where natural rumours come from. Oh, this is a nice bed. I'm running out of space. I'll have to settle somewhere. I don't remember what I was talking about. Interpretations of things being inflicted by other people's interpretations of things. But I suppose it's all still an interpretation, so it's just a sort of layering of difference from the source material. Like you're getting more distant from it, even if it's just a subjective representation of it within your own mind. So, I suppose subjective interpretations of things aren't, well, obviously they aren't super, there's me saying obviously again, they aren't super important to reality, to use a heavy word, although it might not be heavy for everyone. Oh, there's a lush cave down there. I'm gonna have some more water. But I suppose that subjective interpretation is important to your personal reality, since technically your consciousness perceives a specific reality that is maintained within your like frame of existence. And so in that case, subjective interpretation is very important, but only your own. And obviously you can value, see, I'm saying it all the time. You can value other people's, but valuing everyone's can make things difficult. Well, I mean, placing everyone's at a high value. You're going to be valuing them on some level, whether that be 0 or whatever the top of that scale is. I don't want to be the scale creator for the valuation of subjective experience, which is an incredibly convoluted phrase to be saying, I think. Well, not incredibly, but it feels quite unusual. And I don't know how much sense I'm making. I mean, if you understand the words, even then, I don't know. I'm just talking about random things, and I suppose on a level it's a form of philosophy, but it's not really coming to any sort of conclusion necessarily. It's just sort of abstract thought about everything. A person who spends all their time thinking has nothing to think of except thought, as the classic quote goes. Because I was gonna say meme, because that's where I've seen it, but meme is a funny word coined by Richard Dawkins in the 70s, I think. But obviously now it feels quite modern, or at least it did in the 2010s. Now it's sort of a little bit older, especially in terms of internet age. But it still has its place. And that's how I found out that quote. But I suppose it is more of a quote than purely being a meme. I'm not sure. I also don't know how much external sound you're going to be hearing, since other people, I think, are awake now. In my house. There's that weird S again. I don't know why I do that. It's like the tip of my tongue is like blunted temporarily. It's strange S noises. Hopefully they're still calm enough for people to sleep. Obviously, there's me saying it again. But this snow is very peaceful. With some steel hand drum in the background, and I'm not sure what those other instruments are. I mean, is one of them a piano, maybe? Or is that the steel hand drum as well? And it's just a more... Maybe it's a steel hand drum layered with a piano. I'm not sure. But I definitely like snow in this game. As well as snow in real life, it always has that sort of sonic effect of dampening everything because snow is porous, especially or at least freshly fallen snow is porous, so the sound gets dampened into it. And there's a very specific feeling that you get from being in a snowy area. Even if it's like a little busy, as long as there's freshly fallen snow, it still has a big impact. It's like you can feel it almost, because doesn't necessarily, I mean, it does reduce the sound, but it's more of a changing in the quality of the sound rather than a direct decrease. I wonder how you would recreate that digitally. I don't think you could. Like, I mean, you probably could, but I don't know if it would have the same feeling. Maybe it would. Oh, I'm not going to rain. I mean, distant rain is quite nice. Oh, that's weird. Is that just like a small patch? No, it's here as well. Rain sounds quite nice too. I do have it turned down a little bit, so it shouldn't be too loud. Although I did just start getting tinnitus, which is something I have trouble with. I get like waves of the more standard tinnitus where it's like the ringing you hear in movies and stuff occasionally. And then I also have like a consistent sort of static noise, which is a lot more present when there's little sound, which obviously there is right now. But I can deal with that one more because it's just, I've heard it's like the noise from your brain thinking. It's like electronic interference from surrounding neurons on your sort of, oh, thunder, because I'm not sleeping. That's kind of nice, isn't it? But yeah, I don't know. It's like electronic interference from surrounding neurons on the audio processing section of your brain. So I think a lot of people get it, but it's maybe more noticeable to people who have a more receptive brain towards it. So it wouldn't necessarily be dependent on it. Maybe if you have like sensory issues or something, hopefully that isn't making anyone jump. I might quickly sleep here. I know I'm definitely getting tired. I hope if anyone is watching this, they're on their way to sleep now, or getting there, or already there. I really enjoy listening to things like this. It definitely helps occupy my attention so that I don't have to I don't know. It's a bit like if you fall asleep while watching a movie or something, but movies aren't always great for that, and if you've seen a movie tons, you're not gonna be absorbed by it. So if you have a new thing that feels like someone just sat near you talking, and then I suppose that could be a lot better than a movie. I am gonna be uploading this completely unedited. Hopefully it has been, yeah, it's recording, okay. I didn't actually check that. But yeah, this is going to be completely unedited because I currently have no idea how to edit. Like, I generally know how to, edit with things. Like, I understand the theory behind it, I suppose. But I don't really know like good desktop applications for it or programs for it. I know how to do audio editing with Audacity and stuff, so I can't imagine it's too dissimilar with just like a timeline, and you can add in parts and remove parts, and there's going to be an audio element and a video element, and yeah. My computer has 30 gigabytes of RAM, and I've heard that RAM is quite important for video editing, and my processor has a X3D cache because it's a Ryzen 7 7800X3D, I think. Or maybe 7900X3D. I'm not sure. I can't remember the numbers. So many numbers to remember with computer parts. But I do enjoy building computers. It's like something about, even though I'm not really doing like a whole lot in terms of making it work from like a design standpoint, I suppose I'm comprising all of the components that would work together, but I don't know, it feels like creating a machine that it's like this powerful, impressive machine that can do so much. And there's just something about making that yourself, I think. And getting it to work. And then having it and knowing that you put that together and you're the reason it works. I suppose it's a point of pride. But, buying pre-builts is not bad at all. If you just need the computer, it's just a nice hobby to build them, I think. These are the flowers I was talking about earlier. Because their pattern is really quite pretty, although I think they changed them because the blooms seem to be a bit bigger than I remember. And I remembered them having like a drooping effect. But these are quite nice too. Because we're in an old swamp with some fireflies. clock. They only come out at night, I think. And it's currently midday. Let's check my clock. Yep, midday. Like I couldn't look up at the sky. Because why would you... I don't really understand what the clock is for, because you don't really need to know what time it is if you're underground. And if you're above ground, then you can just look up, so... I can't really imagine a circumstance in Minecraft where you would need to know the time when you can't see the sky. Or at least see the sky within a reasonable time frame. Wow, these big patches of gravel are quite impressive. I always quite like barren landscapes. Like volcanic or desert regions. Because this is giving me the vibe of like a volcanic region that doesn't really have an active volcano and hasn't for a while. But I also like big deserts too. And Death Stranding is really good for volcanic stuff, and then Death Stranding 2 has quite a lot of deserts in it, so that might be why I enjoy those games, although I haven't finished Death Stranding 2 yet. I started it, and I suppose I just sort of fell out of playing it, as that can happen. Seems to happen on occasion with things, I think. At least for me. Just ending up not really engaging with something I found really fun and important, and like on a level I still do. Like I still think Death Stranding 2 is an impressive project and a game I could find enjoyment in, but it's like there's no sort of pull towards it directly, I think. But hopefully whoever is watching this is enjoyed, and hopefully you're either asleep or feeling restful. And if you're not asleep, I hope you can get to sleep. And I wish you a good night. Bye bye.